What is up, guys? This is Crewdog Gamer bringing you another Fishing Planet tutorial with another relatively interesting, I'm going to call it relatively interesting because I think it is, subject today. Today we're going to be talking about multi-rod fishing and what it brings you, what it offers you, how it can help you, and why it is my go-to these days. What's so good about it? So the advantages of multi-rod fishing are obviously that you have multiple rods, which increase productivity, allow you to try out different baits at the same time, and it's generally just fun as hell. And it added something in that a lot of people wanted for Fishing Planet, which I think is fucking awesome. So let's go over gear. Most of the time what you're going to find people using with the multi-rod fishing setups is bobber setups are not too common. Bottom fishing setups are usually what people are going to be using. But to begin all of this, you need a rod stand. And I don't think here in North Carolina where I am right now, yeah, they don't have rod stands. The two I've seen are the 1 and the 3, and I do believe there's a 2, but I have a 3 right here that I got in the DLC. A very helpful DLC, I might add, because the rods and reels are rather expensive, as with most rods and reels in this game, but that's a whole nother subject. So the 3-prong fishing rod stand is what I like to have, the triple feeder rod stand, and I'll show you guys why I do that. So here are my bottom fishing setups, and I actually use, for the most part, all 4 of these rods at the same time. Now what I'll do is I'll have a bobber setup for fishing closer to the surface. I'll have a bottom fishing setup with a longer leader and a bottom fishing setup with a shorter leader, so I have 36 and 48 here. And you'll notice all 3 of these have different baits, right? And I believe all 4 of them have different hooks as well. And the reason I do that is to kind of find out what is working, what is the productive bait, what is a good hook size for where I'm at. I know a 3/0 to a 5/0 isn't that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things, but if I'm getting a lot of shit hookups on the 3/0, I might want to move to the 4 or the 5, and this is a good way to experiment with it. And then I have what I call my time passing rod, right? So I'll have a spinner rod or a baitcaster rod set up in here as well with whatever lure I feel like throwing, and what that'll do is give me the ability, as I'm waiting for a bite, waiting for anything to happen, I can throw a lure. Maybe the lure is more effective than the bottom fishing or the bobber fishing. So I'll show you guys how to set that up. We're here in the Heron River in North Carolina, and what we do is load in first. That's a solid step. So here in the Heron, I know my main goal is to catch catfish. That's where most of the productivity is going to come from, and I actually have quite a few of them in the Fish Keep M right now, Fish Cabin M Plus, just in case I catch a really big one, and then I can also keep it. So what you're going to want to do to get your rod stand out is hit 9. 9 will bring your rod stand into your hands. You can move it anywhere you like. You can face it the opposite direction. It'll give you green if you can place it where you want to, and will give you red or disappear if you cannot place it there. So I just face the general direction of where I want to fish, and I plant it there, right? So the first thing I'll do, and you don't have to do this in any particular order, but I'm going to start setting up rods in different locales with different baits. So I want to fish my bobber rod at about 40 inches-ish, right? And that's a good depth for me right now. And I'm going to cast it much shorter. That's just what I'm going to do. Check and make sure the depth is okay. Now what I'm going to do to put it into my rod holder is hit shift and 1, and that'll put it into the first slot in my rod holder. Sometimes you'll see your bobber going a little bit crazy, but unless the rod's pulling, there's no fish there. Just a quick indication for you guys. So I'll do that with the rest of my rods. I'll start setting up my other bottom fishing rods, and I think those lily pads look like a good spot to go for. So I'll put the duck muscle meat there, and then I'll hit shift 2. That'll put it in the second slot in my rod holder. So I'll pull out my last rod here, and I'll just kind of put this one a little bit more in the open and huck it on out there. And the same as the last 2, I'll hit shift and 3, and it'll put it into the third slot in my rod holder. Now right now I have, instead of one rod fishing for me, like holding onto a bobber rod or holding onto a bottom fishing rod. I have 3 rods fishing for me. And then I can pull out whatever other lure I feel like throwing, whether it be a topwater, crankbait, spinnerbait, whatever I feel like throwing. Now I have the freedom to cast that as well and see if I can start getting anything on it. And the whole time I'm doing this, I try not to look too far away from any of my rod stand rods, on the very probable chance that a fish may decide that whatever's on the end of the line seems pretty tasty and it wants to eat it. And usually what I'll try to do is I'll try to match whatever lure I'm throwing to a smaller fish. And the reason for that being, if I'm going to dig into a unique fish or a trophy fish or something like that, obviously that time is going to be a little bit greater to bring the fish in. And I don't want that. I do not want a lot of time with me reeling a fish in, because the likelihood of another rod being taken, being bitten, is very likely, because I have so many out there. And I don't want to be held up reeling in, one big fish when I could reel in a lot of, good fish instead of just one great fish, you know what I mean? Now obviously if I think it's like Goliath or something like that, I'm going to want to reel that in. But the goal is to go for fish that you can handle and let productivity and numbers, be your friend here, right? Because the less time you spend fishing to fill up your keep net, the quicker you can go to the next day, the quicker you can fill another keep net, the quicker you can make more money because you can go to another day, and you can just keep on filling up your keep net, right? So I'm always keeping my rods in the periphery of my vision, and really just hoping I get a fucking bite right now. So we'll see if we can't snag something here in the next few seconds, just so you guys get to see a fish. Because I've covered most of the information you're really going to need to know about multi-rod fishing. If you watch my bottom fishing tutorial, I actually go into it just a little bit.
Joined your channel.
And you can actually see me catch quite a few fish. So there we go, we got a rod going. So I know that is my 6 rod. I can also hit shift 2 and that'll catch the fish as well. Or it will switch to that rod. So as I'm holding that spinning rod in my hand, I hit shift 1, 2, or 3, whatever position the rod that is getting the bite on. I want to switch to that rod, so I'll hit, like, let's say my bobber rod here, the one that's on the far left. If it was getting destroyed right now, I would hit shift 1 and it would swap to that rod. Now if you know what number the rod is, like I do, I know this is my number 6 rod, the taller rod there is my number 4, my spinner is my number 5, my bobber is my number 3. I know all that off the top of my head. You can also do that to switch to the rod. So we got a flathead. Actually ran out of medium cut bait, shit. So I hope you guys have learned something from this. If you're intimidated by multi-rod fishing, it's not as hard as it looks, and it will be quite easy for you guys to pick up on this and get into it and be able to do it comfortably and confidently. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, and subscribe if you enjoy Fishing Planet, because I play it all the fucking time. Also, if you like Battle Royale games, Arma 3, I'm playing those all the time. And if you're looking to get some really budget fishing gear, down in my description I have a ton of my favorite budget fishing gear through Amazon affiliate links. So if you click on one of those links, you decide you want to buy something and you purchase it, and I get a small portion of that, and it gives me an excuse to miss an hour of work so I can make a video. So I will see you guys later. Keep it crew.